Today in algebra, you have your first quiz. Stop talking. Probably. Today in algebra, you had your first quiz that is based on actual content you were taught. So I've been hearing some of you say like, oh, I don't need to be in this class. I have an A. Well, the only test that was in the grade book for the past few weeks was graded on completion. Okay, so you should have an A because that if you completed it, yeah. So I looked at data from the diagnostic tests. I looked at any state testing that you did. And of course, like sometimes those tests aren't representative of you. Like I can understand that. But when I talked to y'all's parents, like they gave the consent, so they must have thought something. They must have thought you needed it too. So I mean, I have had students in the past that may not have necessarily like needed it in the sense that like they were really good students. Maybe they just did bad on the benchmark or the state test that I had for data, but they still consented to being in the class and they still really liked it, testing around something from it. So just saying, like right now you all should have A's, but then of course today was our first quiz actually based on content. So that might be different now. Tomorrow, if you're in my algebra, you'll read in the slides like what to do for like the retake or correction process, like how you can make that grade better. But I will say for unit tests, whatever score you get on the unit test will replace any lower scoring quizzes. Are you guys listening to that? I feel like you guys are big builder. So like say you get a 70% on the unit 1 test. Whatever quizzes were lower than that will be bumped to 70% too. So really like, while it's good to retake quizzes and correct them and, try to do better, if you are just keeping up with what's going on and, trying to understand whatever we're working on, I think you will do better on the unit tests than if you're just constantly retaking the quizzes. For comparison purposes, quizzes are only worth like 10 assessment points each. Unit tests are worth 150 points. Okay. So will you care about this one quiz that you did bad on in a couple weeks? No, because that unit test will completely overshadow it. So right now, everything that goes in the grade book is really impacting your grade. After that first unit test, it should be more representative of how you're actually doing, which I hope is this. Because unit 1 tends to be like, if students have like a strong skill, it tends to be with unit 1. Especially because a lot of the stuff we do in unit 1 can be checked with technology. So there's really no reason you should do bad on this first unit test, but we'll see. Like there are still ways to remediate that, but we'll talk about those get there. So since we didn't do an actual lesson today in algebra, we today are going to do our first project in here, and it's going to be this box plot foldable. All right, so my TA was really nice and made it for you already. All you have to do now is fill it out. But this could be a useful tool that you could use on the next quiz or when you're retaking the quiz. I know I let my students do their notes. I don't know about your teachers, but that is something you can do. And it's about making box plots. So in order to effectively make box plots, you would need to know the 5 needed values, which are the minimum, maximum, and all the 3 quartiles. Okay, so we're going to do an example and you'll get a reminder of how to make a box plot. But first you need to know what 5 values you need to make a box plot. Then you need to create it on an appropriately labeled number line and use it to solve real world problems. So I'm giving this to you today. I don't expect you to be finished with it today. But for the rest of the week, you are doing lessons in algebra. For the rest of the week, like for example, tomorrow, your first priority will be to get 80% or higher on this for tomorrow. Any remaining time you have left over will be spent working on this, and I would expect it to be fully done by Friday. You can turn it in earlier. I'll have a folder on the back table that says Plots Foldable, and you can turn it in there. Make sure your name is on it. Like maybe take a moment right now and put your name on it. Lot. Yes. All right, but it's going to be your first project in here. So you don't want to have a missing for your first project. On Friday, I'm going to make you turn it in no matter what, like no matter how much you have. I'm going to score it and I'm going to give it back to you. But ideally, it should be done by Friday with all the time you'll have today and all the remaining time you'll have throughout the week. And it should be easy because you can use technology to help you make your box plot. So there you go. I'm recording right now. I'll usually record in this class. This class tends to be my bigger one. So there's that. Let's look at an example on the screen for how to make a box plot. And if you haven't had your algebra test yet today, well, this is great practice for it. So looking at what's on the screen, what would you do to make the box plot? Table 6. Organize from least to greatest. Some people might do something else first, but that's okay. Put numbers in numerical order. Okay, table 6, you're probably making that. Be paying attention to this. Okay, we should be paying attention to this. So put numbers in numerical order. What does numerical order mean? Least to greatest. So table 3, what's my smallest number that I have in here? 15. And then it would be, and how many 16s do I have? 2. And then okay.
And then there's 26. 26. And then there's a one way. It's a way.
So let me count how many I have in my list. Okay, so I have 10 numbers in my list. I should have 10 numbers in my list. And I do. So that's what you should do. If you are doing it by hand, I will also refresh how to do it through technology. That's what you should do. Double check your list. Make sure you didn't miss any by counting how many you started with and how many are in your current list. And then what do you do next? For making a box plot. Table 4, can you tell us? Find the minimum. What does minimum mean? Smallest number in the data set, which is 15. Table 8, what's another step?
Oh, you're not table 8, buddy.
Okay, so I was making steps and then I stopped. So we'll put find minimum, maximum, and median. Because I agree, it doesn't really matter what order you find these 3 in, but you definitely need to find them before you find the next step. So table 8, you said median. Okay, so let's find the median. We're going left, right, until we get a middle number or middle 2 numbers. Since we had 10 data points and that's an even number, I should expect to have to take the average of the 2 middle numbers. What's the average of 25 and 25? Okay, good. And you can do the math if you want to. Add them together, divide by 2, it's 25. I put Q2 because that's what we also call the median, and it's just short. Okay, Q2 for the median. Table 6, you guys have to find the maximum. What's the maximum? 28. And table 3, what are the other 2 values that I need for a box plot? Okay, good. And I'm going to call them Q1 and Q3 for short. But yes, Q1 is the middle of my lower half, and Q3 is the middle of my upper half. So never cross your median. So like my median was in between those two 25s, so I'm not gonna cross out the one I drew in the middle. But when I'm figuring out what's the middle of my lower half, I am gonna cross out this 25, if that makes sense. So you never cross out what your median is, and my median is in between these two numbers. I'm not gonna cross out this. I will cross out this. Does that make sense?
Where am I? Oh no.
Okay.
Those are
So yeah, since I had an even number, my median's in between those two numbers, so you can cross out that black's coming back that I wrote. All right, so Q1 is going to be 16. That's the middle of my lower half. Think about what the middle of your upper half would be, everyone. Think about it. Think about it.
20.
She said
27.
oh. Okay, table 4, what's the middle of my upper half? Good, and it's this 26. Because we would have gone left, right, and I know my list wasn't like small enough to fit on one line. So. But this 26 is the middle of my upper half. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. Once you have your 5 needed values, you plot your 5 values. I think for all of you on the foldable, it's already labeled for the number lines. If not, then make a number line that's appropriate. So it needs to include numbers from 15 to 28, maybe a little more than that on each side. But you're going to put a dot over each of the 5 values needed. So a dot over the 15, 16, 25, 26, and 28. Which dots make up the box? Which dots make up the box? Okay, any other? Okay, good. So whatever 3 dots are in the middle, all the ones for your quartiles actually, those will make up the box. Connecting your box to your minimum and maximum will make up your whiskers. So column box and whisker plots. So yeah, for the ones in the middle, I would put vertical lines through them and then connect the horizontal lines to make the box. And then connect to your minimum. Now this is good for when it talks about percentages of something. So the quartiles split your data into percents. So I'm putting a dotted line where each of my quartiles are. This is showing me that my first 25% of data was really close together. My second 25% of data is really far apart. My third 25% really close together, and my last 25% pretty close together. So, and you can kind of tell that in the numbers. From here to here, super close. From here to here, pretty far. From 25 to 26, really close. 26 to 28, also really close. It's a visual representation of like your data in quarters. All right, any questions on that? Okay. The other way, and honestly, sometimes you guys make silly mistakes. So honestly, the way that I would prefer you start for your box plots is to put your data into Desmos. Because again, sometimes you guys make mistakes. So I would put my data into Desmos. And maybe I won't do it for the specific one that we're looking at right now, but whatever data you have, you can type it in here. And then what could I do to have it make me a box plot? Okay, good. Or you can find it in this little menu. Because normally box plot has a space in it, but to put it into Desmos, it shouldn't have a space. So you can just find it in the little menu for functions under visualizations, and that will already have the parentheses for you. And then whatever you called your data set, put that same letter. And now there's my mark. So you could use that to check. Also, if you were just like maybe answering some questions on the test, like what's the IQR or something, I would type in this function stats, and I need a parentheses, and whatever I called my data. And those same 5 numbers that we pointed out for that last example are right here. So whatever way you like better. I like this way because I could actually see the numbers. But it's all right, so you guys have a foldable to work on. I'm going to work with my 2 new friends up here on the syllabus. Any questions right now? Yeah, we'll get signed. If you have it signed, put it in the metal bin. That's on the back of yes, you can use that to do. For the better. I think I made today the latest.